How's it going, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Mark 12 Mod 0, specifically some of the intricacies that are, or should be, taken into account when building a rifle like this. A couple things we should address off the very get-go. These rifles are about 20 years old, so absolutely clone-correct parts are very, very difficult to find in some cases. You probably should expect to spend about 3 years looking for everything. You might get lucky, however, the going rate has been a couple years to find all of these parts. That said, there are modern reproductions, so if you just want to get a shooter, you can absolutely do that. If you're looking at just a good shooting rifle, I'd highly recommend looking at PRI. Makes a factory Mark 12 Mod 0 lookalike. BCM makes a good one. Also, Centurion Arms makes a very good one. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty on these things. We're going to do what some of the YouTubers like to do, and let's go tip to butt on this thing because it's a really nice way to do it. All right, so starting from the front, we're looking at an Ops Inc. muzzle brake and long collar. All right, the original Mark 12 Mod 0 has a long collar. If you were to take a look at a lot of the civilian copies of these things, they have a short collar. The original military rifles had a long collar. They switched to the short collar on civilian versions because the barrels were not profiled properly, and those barrels wouldn't let the collar rest against the barrel. They would rest, or the collar would rest against the sight block instead. So this one is rested on the barrel. Everything is in the correct tolerance for this guy. Normally, you would have an Ops Inc. 12th model suppressor. I don't have one of those. Hopefully, I'll get one soon. However, I'm still on the hunt for one, and I don't overly want to spend about $3,000, $5,000 for one. So hopefully, I'll find one soon, but I'm about ready to spend those big bucks when one does come available. Moving a little bit farther back, this is going to be an original PRI gas block. The original PRI gas block is going to have the PRI with New Bremen, Ohio address marked on the very top. Also, it is going to be a 5-set screw design. So you'll have 1 set screw, 2 set screw, 1 set screw here on the 6 o'clock, and then on the opposite side, a set screw here and a set screw here. Old versions of this gas block are going to only have 4 set screws, 1 here, and then the 2 on the back side. They don't have the 6 o'clock position. If you ever see a gas block that has a wheel right here, that is going to be an SPR gas block. That is not a Mark 12 gas block. That is an SPR gas block. That is a dead giveaway that someone doesn't have a absolutely clone correct rifle, is they've got a wheeled gas block with the stepped Gen 3 rail. Another dead giveaway that something's not clone correct is if it is not a set screw style gas block. If it is a cross bolt style where these legs come down farther and there are 2 big bolts running down there, that is a cross bolt style. Those are not clone correct. Those are dead giveaway modern production. Got a Mk12A, slightly upgraded version of the original Mk2. Mk2, if I remember correctly, is like a 25 milliwatt laser. This one's like a 50 or something like that. Yeah, 50 milliwatt for the Mk12A. Mk12A is just a little bit better, higher performance. Going back a little bit farther, this right here is your Mk2 mount. You also have the ability to mount your Mk on the top rail. If you were to run your Mk on the top rail, you would remove this rail section here. There's a bolt here and a bolt here. Pop that off. Your Mk2 will then bolt right here, and it sits on the 12 o'clock position. If you run clip-on night vision, your clip-on night vision is probably going to mount on this rail section. Also would preclude you from running your Mk on top. So my clip-on night vision goes right here, and my Mk is mounted at the 9 o'clock position on the rifle. Speaking of the rails where that Mk2 is mounted, if you were to take a look right here and right here on a modern production PRI rail, you will see PRI on one side and USA engraved on the other side. Original PRI rails do not have that engraving. It is fairly simple to fill in that engraving with some JB Weld or some steel epoxy, something along those lines. However, original rails do not have that PRI USA marking on them. Moving down a little bit farther, this is an ARMS number 32 stopless mount, so there is no lever stop. This lever can rotate 180 degrees. Later production ARMS products all have a lever stop on them that stop them from rotating past 90. So this lever would rotate all the way around. Modern production stuff stops at the 90 degree. Nothing on the original ARMS stuff is going to have that lever stop. The vast majority of everything that you ever see on a military Mark 12 is going to be what is called stopless and wingless ARMS stuff. So when we get to it, I'll show you an ARMS logo that does not have any wings on the swan. Moving down, this is a issued Mark 12 bipod. It's a Harris SBR model. They also have no USA marking. So if you were to take a look at the back of the bipod, there's no USA mark. It only says SBR. Also has a, well, it would have a pod lock on the back. This is a period correct replacement for a pod lock. My pod lock snapped from TSA, so thank you very much for that one. Little note, these ARMS bipod mounts, these are more correct for a Mark 12 Mod 1. Mark 12 Mod Zeros, for the most part, had Knights Armament mounts for the bipod. So if you were to take a look at a modern, or sorry, if you were to take a look at most military Mark 12 Mod Zeros, they would have a Knights Armament bipod mount. This is more correct for a Mark 12 Mod 1. I just honestly like it a lot better than the CAC mount. The Knights Armament mount does not have a quick release feature, so I like the quick release. Makes it go in my box a little bit better. You're also looking at a full-length bottom rail for the PRI tube. Modern PRI tubes will come with a half-length bottom rail, so it'll basically just be a bottom rail. It's this length down here. So you're looking for a full-length bottom rail. This piece is available currently from PRI. Gen 3 PRI tube, Gen 3 PRI carbon fiber front end. Original, very, very early Gen 3 PRI tubes. Someone out there in the world, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they had stainless steel barrel nuts. This one has an aluminum one. More later production PRI tubes all had aluminum barrel nuts. Ignore this guy right here. I was planning originally on filming this video on a tripod. This would be my tripod mount. I just didn't bother taking it off. Moving to the scope. We're looking at ARMS number 22 stopless scope mounts. These are 30 millimeter scope mounts. These two rings are high rings, so ARMS number 22H rings. Absolutely 100% clone correct rings on this rifle would be ARMS number 22M rings, so mediums. I personally run the highs so that it will line up with my clip-on night vision, and these ARMS rings are exactly the same height, so I run the highs. Mediums would be more correct. I don't run them. That's personal choice. Looking at a loopholed Mark IV 3-9 scope with the integrated illumination housing. So you're looking at a round illumination housing, not a slab side. Later versions had the slab side. Also, for the most part, most of the times you see this scope, it's going to be a 2.5 to 8 optic with a slab side. These 3-9s are very difficult to find. They will also have a 62 grain 5.56 or 223 elevation turret. It is a BDC turret. It does have a stop on it, but it is a 62 grain graduated turret, not a 77 grain. If you were to take a look at a Mk12 Mod 1, the top of the turret will say Mk12 Mod 1 77 grain, and it would be obviously a 77 grain turret marked for a Mk12 Mod 1. The original Mod Zeros all had 3 to 9 scopes. This scope is very difficult to find. If you had a 2.5 to 8 on there, no one would bat an eye. 2.5 to 8s are also on the harder side of things to find, especially with the round illumination housing. The slab side housings are significantly easier to find. Most of the times people think that's okay. However, if we're going absolutely clone correct, dead giveaway, you're always looking for a rounded illumination housing, not a slab side. And if you want to look at a Mk12 Mod 0, that's always going to be a 3 to 9 loophole Mark 4. There are some Night Forces out there that fit the bill, just for whatever reason. Please don't ever put a Vortex Viper PST on it. It looks like crap. All right, going down to this top rail right here. This is an arms number 32, or sorry, excuse me, arms number 38, PEC 2-3. So PEC 2, meaning you could mount a PEC 2 on the front, and -3, meaning Gen 3. So it takes these steps for the Gen 3 rail. These arms rails are very difficult to find. That's going to be something you're probably going to be sitting on for a little while, along with the scope, trying to find a scope. These rings pop up every now and then. Rings aren't super duper hard to find. The scope is extremely hard to find. The top rail is on the harder side of things to find. This gas block, good luck. Seriously, good luck finding a gas block. They're extraordinarily difficult to find. All right, arms number PEC 2-3, top rail. PRI makes this piece. It looks close. It's not exactly the same. If you ever want to call someone out for having a not correct Mk12, they've got a PRI top rail on it, and probably they don't care whether or not it's an arms or not. Going back to the back, this guy right here is a arms number 40 rear sight. This is what I was talking about when I was saying it's a wingless swan logo. So I'm trying to get my camera to focus here. If you can kind of see in there, that swan does not have a wing on it. All right. All this stuff is all going to be wingless swan logos. If you were to take a look at a modern swan logo for arms, that little tiny swan has a little wing on it. All the original stuff is all going to be wingless. All right. This guy right here, this is another extraordinarily difficult piece to find. This guy right here is the charging handle. Looks very, very similar to a current production PRI charging handle. This one is what's called the brownie charging handle. So this anodizing would wear out or sun fade a brown color. So it got the nickname brownie. Very, very early Mk12 Mod Zeros had a welded latch charging handle with the deep engraved charging handle. This guy right here is a later edition charging handle. However, it is still clone correct for a Mk12 Mod 0. This charging handle did not come off of a Mk12. However, a buddy of mine has an issued brownie charging handle off of a Mk12. And I have very good authority that pretty much everything he says Mk12 related is pretty much gospel. All right, so Mk12 charging handle. This is the brownie. Original ones had no cutout, and they were the deep engraved. So the top of the charging handle was deep engraved with the PRI information. Anytime that you look at a Mk12 charging handle and it is either not engraved, or sorry, not welded or not faded brown, it's probably a modern production charging handle. If you ever have any question about whether or not charging handle is legit, just take a look at the top. If it says pure or precision reflex on it, it's modern production. Old original PRI stuff is all going to say PRI mounts. Original, very early PRI stuff is all going to be deep engraved, not that little white laser engraving that you'll see today. And then that medium or the middle stuff is all going to say PRI mounts. It's not deep engraved, but it still says PRI mounts, not precision reflex. PRI does make welded charging handles that look clone correct from the outside. If you want to just get something that looks close, that's fine. You can do it that way. It's not going to be clone correct for those people who have, let's just say, a little bit of artism. All right, moving down to the lower receiver. This guy right here is just going to be a basic, as close as you can get, clone correct M16A1 lower receiver. This one is a pre-band lower receiver. This one's manufactured by Sendra Corp, also known as Drasen and Nessard. They kept changing their name. Don't know why. However, it's all the same company. This one, fun fact, is probably made under variants 4. If you take a look right here, that right there is, that right there is the is the Rock Island Armory logo. So this lower receiver was made for Rock Island Armory. This guy right here is an Ergo grip. Ergo came out with a reproduction rough exterior Ergo grip. This is not absolutely 100% clone correct. I have a correct Mark 12 issued grip on the way. This is not that. Does not look the same. Does not feel the same. Thought it would. It doesn't. It kind of did it dirty. Basic Milsurp M16A1 stock. Some of them had the floor plate. Some of them didn't. This one does not have the hinged butt plate. Also, I've got my duct tape and mouse pad cheek riser on there. Puts my cheek exactly where it needs to be. Trigger is going to be Geisley SSA. Just wrapping things up here. Trigger is a Geisley SSA. Absolutely clone correct would be a Geisley SSF. I'm not playing that third pin game, so I don't need that SSF. Might get one day just to have, but I don't really need it. And then finally, you're looking at your original 20-round magazines, because 20-round magazines have the drip. All right, once your rifle is built, it all gets packaged nicely into this Pelican 1700 case. This one is a DoD case. It wasn't originally for a Mark 12, but it was repurposed as a Mark 12 case. The correct Pelican 1700 is going to have this fixed carry handle. It's not the hinged carry handle. All right, so just keep in mind, every single part on this rifle has a modern counterpart. All right. These gas blocks can be purchased. Not exactly this one, however, a facsimile can be purchased. A copy of the Ops Inc. collar and muzzle brake can be purchased. The suppressor, multiple manufacturers make a copy of the Ops 12th model suppressor. Harris bipod's a Harris bipod. You can get those pretty much anywhere. Arms rings still exist. Most of the time, you're going to find them with lever stops. Every now and then, you're going to find them without a lever stop. If you can find them without a lever stop, typically I suggest getting on it. Please, again, don't replace your scope with a Vortex Viper PST. Get a Leupold, get a Night Force. If you want to just cut some corners, put a Leupold Mark V on it, or even just a modern Leupold Mark IV. A1 receivers you can either get from International Milko or Russian Paint, or you can get them from Harrington Richardson, i.e. PSA. If you do get a PSA receiver, just get it stripped. That way it comes from the old NODAT guys. Don't get it from Palmetto State Armory. Don't try and give them money. The arms sight, these guys are going to be fairly difficult to find. PRI does still make an arms appropriate sight, or sorry, not PRI. Arms does still make the number 40L, which doesn't have this hump on the back. It is still a front sight, still good. The the PRI gas buster rail is still available. This piece here, the original gas buster and the original front sight, PRI does still make both of these parts. These two original pieces are by far the hardest parts to find on a Mk12 Mod 0 build. In my 4 years of being into Mk12s, I've only ever seen one of these come up, and I've only ever seen 3 of these come up. I've never seen these sell for anything close to what's considered a reasonable price for a charging handle, and expect to spend over about $500 for one of these gas blocks. This video is filmed in early 2025. As time continues going on, I have no doubt in my mind that those prices are going to increase. Besides that, if you have any questions, please let me know. Again, modern reproductions of every single part on this rifle exist. If you want to get a very close look-alike, you can get something from PRI, you can get something from BCM, or like I said, Centurion Arms also makes a very good one. These rifles are phenomenally accurate, way more accurate than what I would consider your standard bread and butter ARs. I have groups out of this one that are beating one MOA. I think the best 5-shot group I've ever done out of this one is about 1/4 MOA. Cool. Besides that, again, any questions, please leave it in the comments. I don't know if this is going to be on YouTube or if this is going to be on Facebook, but I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much. Maybe we'll look at some of the other rifles next time.